Greetings, Poke fans, and today we will be discussing the future of Pokemon Go. Now, as of this video, we still don't have the Kanto legendaries, but we're going to be discussing the Johto Pokemon. Okay, now to start things off, let's talk about Candies. Now, in Kanto, or Generation 1 as it might be, in order to evolve a basic Pokemon into a Stage 1 Pokemon and then into a Stage 2 Pokemon, it takes 25 Candies and then 100 Candies for a total of 125. However, if the Pokemon evolves once, from basic to Stage 1, it requires about 50 Candies. Now there are a few exceptions, being Weedle and Caterpie and Pidgey, that only take 12 Candies to go from basic to Stage 1, and then 50 Candies to go from Stage 1 to Stage 2. Another two exceptions are Tata and Eevee, which only evolve once, basic to Stage 1, however only require 25 Candies, as opposed to the normal 50 Candies it takes. Now, in Johto we only have about 4 Pokemon, being the Starters and Mareep, that evolve twice. So, we can assume it's going to take 25 Candies to evolve, let's say, Cyndaquil, Totodile, or Chikorita into their first evolution, and then another 100 Candies, totaling up to 125, as for the other two-stage evolutions. There are plenty of Pokemon that evolve only once in Generation 2. So Pokemon that evolve once are going to be Swinub and Piloswine, Sunkern and Sunflora, and then Mare and Azumarill, along with plenty more. So we can assume that for any Pokemon in Generation 2 that evolves once is only going to take the average 50 Candies. However, there are a couple of Pokemon I believe are going to be the exceptions, those being Hoot and Sentret. Because Sentret is basically the Rattata of Generation 2, being the regional rodent, I'm going to say it's only going to take 25 Candies to evolve him, and it's only going to evolve 25 Candies to evolve Hoot into Noctowl. Now let's talk about baby Pokemon. Now, as of right now, the baby Pokemon that are going to be in Generation 2, let's hope that I don't forget any, Pichu, Cleffa, Igglybuff is one of them, Tyrogue, Smoochum, Elekid, Magby, there's probably some more, I don't know the name. Togepi is one of them. So I just counted off at least 8 baby Pokemon in Generation 2. Now I don't think it's going to take Candies to evolve them, because in Pokemon Yellow, Generation 1 game, was the first time that we actually saw a primitive version of the friendship function feature in Pokemon. That's where, after you healed your Pokemon or won enough battles with Pikachu, it only applied to Pikachu at the time in Pokemon Yellow. Basically, you could earn a kind of primitive version of friendship with your Pikachu. And now that we have the buddy system in Pokemon Go, after you walk 10 kilometers with Pikachu as your buddy, instead of standing beside you, he will appear on your shoulder. I'm going to be following that as the same pattern as Pokemon, the main series games. So since Pikachu in Pokemon Yellow was the first one to actually have any kind of friendship, and in Pokemon Go is the first one to actually be affected by the buddy system, I'm going to say that the buddy system is going to have a big effect and be more or less a friendship system in Pokemon Go. So I would say after maybe walking a few kilometers with your Pokemon, depending on what Pokemon it is, it's going to evolve based on whenever you choose it to. So let's say if you have a Togepi, and after you walk 10 kilometers with it, it might give you an option to evolve it into a Togetic. Now, Tyrogue is a different kind of evolutionary Pokemon, because in the main series games, Tyrogue evolves into Hitmonlee if its attack is higher than its defense, into Hitmonchan if its defense is higher than its attack, and then Hitmontop if its attack and defense are exactly the same. So, I'm going to say it's going to be around the same for that, because we do have attack and defense IVs in Pokemon Go. It's going to be a tad, difficult, and you're going to have to catch plenty of Tyrogue and or hatch them from eggs, which is where I'm going to say that we're going to get 1 kilometer eggs in Generation 2 that are going to have the baby Pokemon in them, because let's face it, I'd rather hatch a 2K egg in order to get a Starter or regional rodent instead of getting a baby Pokemon that I'm going to have to walk even more with. So, Niantic has sent out 1 kilometer eggs to people before, so I'm going to say it's not that far-fetched in order to introduce 1K eggs to hatch baby Pokemon. Now, about Pokemon that already have a Stage 1 evolution and then evolve again in Generation 2, the two that I can think of right now are going to be Seadra, that evolves into Kingdra in Generation 2, and then Golbat that evolves into Crobat in Generation 2. Now, it takes 50 candies to evolve Zubat into Golbat and Horsea into Seadra, and so I don't want to say it's going to take only 100 candies to evolve Seadra into Kingdra or Golbat into Crobat. However, if we look at a Pokemon like Pidgey that requires 62 candies to get it from Pidgey to Pidgeot, and then if we look at a normal 3-stage Pokemon like, let's say, Golem that takes 125 candies to get from Geodude to Golem, we can see that an average Pokemon, average 2-stage Pokemon, has twice the amount of someone like Pidgey. So I'm going to say that since we already have 50 candies to get from Horsea to Seadra, it's going to take an amassing 200 candies to get from Seadra to Kingdra, which will be double of, let's say, Golem or Dragonite. However, it'd be plenty worth it once you get, once you really think about it. Maybe not so much for Crobat, but Crobat is still pretty sick. So, those are my thoughts on that. I'm about to have to cut a lot of this video out because this is my first video. Hey, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next week. Bye. That was terrible.